Hello, everyone, and welcome to MUPO and Friends. Our special guest today is a talented actor whose career has spanned across 7 decades. Yes, as a veteran of stage and screen, he is known for his roles in films like Poltergeist, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, the television NBC miniseries V for all you V fans, Dynasty, Chicago Story, the soap opera All My Children, just to name a few. He is not only a veteran on the big screen, he is also a military veteran who has served in Vietnam. He owns Richard Lawson Studios and is the co creator, co founder of the Waco Theater Center, a dream he built with his beautiful wife, Tina. Get ready to learn about his art, his legacy. Please give a warm welcome to Richard Lawson. Hello, Richard.
Hey, hi, hey, how you
Hey.
guys doing?
First off, thank you for your service so that we could be free. I
Yes,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Um,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
you know,
I'm proud of that.
you know what? I'm proud that you're here. You have no idea. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm the founder of the Keep the Peace Project. And
Okay.
I wrote a song called Keep the Peace. And eventually we are going to buy buildings and revamp the homes of the veterans, make it handicap accessible. We are going to put homeless people in these vacant buildings and create jobs. So every time I put it out there, I'm actually waiting for an investor to come and just drop the money down so we could start to do it. So you never know. It may happen with you. You may be the lucky key to it all.
Hey, look, just keep that postulate. It'll happen. Be intentional about it. That's really an incredible thing too, because the homeless people, I mean, the people who happen to be homeless, unfortunately, I mean, it's growing. It just continues to grow. I was talking to somebody the other day. We were talking about when I grew up. I grew up in every project in Oakland, every one of them. Cornices Village, Peralta Project, Brookfield Village, Sobrani Park. These were all projects. And today, the new project, because all those old projects have been regentrified and the area has turned into so many other things. Today, the new project are tent cities. People living in tents and the homeless people. That's the new projects.
Yeah, we had that over here in New Jersey. And then it was said about a year or two ago, maybe a couple years, they kicked them out. And that broke my heart
Yeah,
because that was a place that they felt safe.
yeah,
There's a lot of homeless people, and I think it's a disgrace how how they're not sheltered. It just
yeah,
kills me.
yeah,
We have a
absolutely.
lot of that in Los Angeles. It's really showing a lot now, more than ever. Something definitely needs to be done about that.
Absolutely. And
So,
Now,
they're coming west because the
mhm,
weather is a
right,
lot more amenable to
yep,
somebody standing on the street than in New
right,
York or New Jersey.
yes, yes.
yeah.
And now being you were what, a medic?
I was a medic. I was a combat medic in Vietnam in the 4th Infantry Division in
Wow.
1968. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Tet Offensive for the Vietnam War, but
Mhm.
it was like the most intense period of the Vietnam War. And I landed in Vietnam at 12:01 January 1, 1968, and I
Wow.
thought that was hell because tracer bullets were just lighting up the sky. But nobody
Ooh.
told me that it was New Year's celebration. But man, I said, "Oh my God, I probably have about 15 minutes to live if I'm lucky."
Wow. So you must have saw some crazy things, like being a medic, like
Well, it's an interesting thing. Yes, I did. I saw things that you would never be able to see here in this country unless you
Mhm.
went to the county hospitals wherever they took trauma patients, and you saw people coming in with accidents and explosions and the worst of the worst. That's the closest that you could get to what you would see in Vietnam and what I would, being the first responder, if you will, because I'm the medic, would have to treat all of those injuries and wounds. But the one way that I'm very grateful for my Vietnam experience because it gave me an opportunity to see mankind in a way that you would not normally be able to see mankind. Because the guys in my unit, because I'm a medic and because I'm the only person that's really giving any kind of personal care. So it's like, hey, let me look at that wound there. Man, you're not taking care of this. Here, let me. And so the touch would open me up to the personal, their personal challenges. So they'd say, hey, doc, listen, I want to talk to you about something. And he'd talk to me about his wife or his family, or, his wife is pregnant and he hasn't been home in 18 months or something, and it was just, so it allowed me to get into the human psyche. And the other thing that was so interesting was the fact that in my unit there was a guy from Brooklyn, a white boy from Mississippi, Mexican from Texas, a Chinese dude from San Francisco. I was from Oakland, and other guys in the unit. So it was like the color spectrum was 360 degrees. But because we needed each other, all of that socialization, all of that training, all of what they had learned fell away because we needed each other. And so therefore we became a family because we had to depend on each other. And there was a lot of love that was, the energy was incredible because we had to protect and save and make sure that we were okay. And if you were fortunate enough to make it back, then you knew it was because your brothers were helping you. But unfortunately, people came back and they got regentrified, if you will, back into their families and reintroduced to whatever way of thinking that they left there and lost and came back to, or at least it went dormant. So I do know that mankind is able to feel when there is empathy present. And when there is no empathy present, then we get stuck in all that external stuff, that all it takes is some natural disaster, and then people find empathy. Let an
That's true.
earthquake happen, let a hurricane happen,
That
let
is true.
something,
I
you
always
know,
say
you,
we're trained towards compassion to feel, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. But the difference with empathy is actually feeling with them,
yeah,
feeling
exactly,
in their moment, not
e-
outside of their moment. So,
exactly,
so
exactly,
true. So
yeah,
true. That must have been, I can't imagine. Uh, that's an experience that only you know truly what that was like. I'm just grateful for veterans and people that allow us the freedoms that we have. And it's such a dear thing in our hearts to help and support.
yeah. Well,
Now,
thank you.
welcome. Thank you. From Vietnam to the entertainment business,
Mhm.
how did you find your purpose for entertainment?
Well, I got out of Army uh, 3 months early because I found
Mm,
out that if I went to college, I could get out 3 months early. So I
okay.
was I was in the Army 1 year, 9 months, 7 days, 15 hours, 42 minutes, and 32 seconds when I got on that plane to come back to Oakland. And
Wow.
because I signed up to go into, I could only get into a junior college that fast. So I went to Chabot. Now, while I was at Chabot College in Hayward, California, um, I um, I wanted to be a lawyer. I said, well, you know what? Let me join the debate team because debating is like being a lawyer. At least, junior college doesn't give you law classes, but debating was going to put me in the zip code. So
Right.
I met some people who were on the debate team. I went over to the speech department with them, and we were sitting in the room talking about it. And while I was in there, this woman, I heard these steps, these purposeful steps walking down the hallway. And this person, those steps walked into the room, and my back was to the door. And she said, whose voice is that? Um, who are you looking for? That's it. What are you doing at 3:30 today? Uh, Good. Come to room 708. So I went to room 708. And she asked me to be involved in Reader's Theater, Antigone. And I did. And it was an amazing experience because the way I read it and the way I got into it, the audiences loved it. So from that, she encouraged me to go into competitional speech. And I did that. And then I was state champion. I wanted to be in a state champion and undefeated. Then the drama coach asked me to be in a musical called Golden Boy, and so I did that. And it was in the middle of a performance on my birthday that I had a revelation. It was like something spoke to me and said, "This is why you're here." And I had a reverie in that moment, and I knew that that's what I was going to do the rest of my life. So my purpose was clear in that second. And from that second to this one, feels like it might be a year. And that was in 1969. And so I have been driven by this. Well, I've been on vacation for 50 years and been doing the thing that I love. And so I've been very clear about what my purpose is, my raison d'etre, my reason for being. And it has given me the opportunity to share that passion with others.
Hmm.
That's incredible. I mean, 7 decades. It's it it's but it's I love what you said. I feel like I've been on a vacation.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
7 only because it was 1969
Right.
that I did Golden Boy. So that's I worked in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020. So it is 7 decades that I worked, even though I'm not old enough to, well, almost,
Right.
but it's 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 from the 60s. I worked in seven. Yes, I have worked in 7 decades, different decades.
That's beautiful.
You have definitely seen the industry go through so many cycles and shift. What do you attribute your longevity in the industry to?
Um, I'll put it like this. Excuse the expression, but I know how to turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
Hmm.
So
I
I
never heard
like
that.
that.
I turn whatever it is
Mm.
into because I can't control.
Right.
Listen, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Because when I was in the 70s, when I finally came to Los Angeles to start a film career, um, and I would go out for parts, I would read the script, and my spirit was attracted to the lead. I was the lead guy. That's who I am. Oh, but wait. Oh, I see. That's for a actor that they describe as white, but the character that I'm reading for is number 57 on the call sheet, not number 1. So I realized then that, okay, the business is not set up for me to succeed in the way that I see success. So I have to turn this into something and make it go right. I have to I have to work my way from 57 to 1. And I have to do that and be smart about it so that they are not interested in my energy, not my sexuality, my sensuality. You know, they don't mind me being funny, but funny in a not so confident way. And so, therefore, I learned to play those parts and work my way up the call sheet until I was number 1. And so that was fine. I didn't get angry about it. I didn't was no upset about it. It was understanding the reality of what it was. This is what it is. Handle it. And so I handle it. And throughout the years, in terms of all the no's were motivators. No's excited me. I can't tell you the expression that I really use, but no, no makes me excited because you say no to me, I'm going to find a way in. So therefore, it empowered me not to be at effect to the business, to be at cause over it and make it go right. And so, in that sense, and in everything that I've ever done, I don't care how drastic or how painful it was or how death defying it was, I made it go right. And so, therefore, it never robbed me of my joy. It never took me off of my purpose to be number one. And that, but in order to get to number one, there's a lot of number twos and number tens and number 2000s that you got to deal with. But you get up, you get back in it, and you get smart about it and don't make the same mistake twice and keep working your way up. So, it's sort of like, you know, um, there was a doll that you could punch and it would go down and it come
Come
right
back
back.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I am. It's like you can't knock me down. You can knock me down, but you won't keep me there because I'm coming right back. And in that spirit and in that sense, that I understood that there's nothing can stop me except me.
Well,
Amen. You can't
getting
keep a good thing down for long.
never.
No,
Yep,
no,
never.
no.
So with what you just said, I'm going to get into something very deep.
Mm,
On March 22nd,
mm,
1992, you actually survived a plane crash. Um, it was at a LaGuardia airport, right? So they said that you had bad vibes. What have you
I
learned from
did.
that to pay attention? Like, do you always listen to your instinct? Because I do. And what was that like, that plane crash?
Well, I not only had bad vibes, I really knew the plane was going to crash.
Wow.
I just had a revelation about that when I was getting ready to cross into the plane, the threshold of the plane. And
You
but see, this is
felt it?
I did. It was very
Wow.
clear. I have been somewhat of a clairvoyant psychic, if you will. Do I
Yes,
use it?
that's why
Do
we
I
get
use
along.
it?
I could feel you on that because I remember that day.
Mhm. Yeah, it was like, do I always follow what my perception is? No. But from that day and from that experience, I have learned to really listen to it, even though I still struggle with it. And what I struggle with is that social part of yourself, that part of yourself that wants to feel euphoria, the
Right.
part of yourself that wants to take the easier way, the part of yourself that's seduced by whatever your demons are, and when I got on that plane, there was sort of like these two parts of me were in communication. The one part of me, because there was a girl, I was running the drug program for the National Basketball Association. And so therefore I was actually on my way to Cleveland to talk to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Monday. That 22nd was
Wow.
a Sunday night. And I was
Okay.
going there to talk to them. But in the meantime, there was this young lady that was in Cleveland that I was also going to see. You know what I mean? So, I call them, Tricky Dick and Richard. So Tricky Dick had to go to Cleveland. Richard said the plane is going to crash. And so I'm dealing with these two parts of my psyche, and one is over talking the other one. And one, they were both convincing in the sense of really, like when I got on the plane and sat down, I said, like, get up, get off of this plane. Come on, get off this plane. And the other part of me said, what's wrong with you? What are you going to tell David Stern, who was the commissioner of the NBA, that you were afraid to fly? They're going to tell you, Richard, you need to find another line of work. If you're afraid to fly and you have to be in these different cities, because there's 28 teams in 29 cities at the time, and I needed to go to every team twice a year. So that means that's 60 flights just about from here to there and other flights like the All-Star game. And I'm on the plane all the time. And at the time, I'm working on all my children. So I work all day on all my children. And then at night, I would go get on a plane. And if I didn't work the next day, I would go get on a plane and fly. And my meeting was set up wherever it was, Chicago, Cleveland, Atlanta, Miami, Phoenix, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'd fly back, land at 6 o'clock in the morning, go straight to the set. And so this day, I knew. And so I had this battle between these two sides of me. And I wound up staying on the plane. And when the plane crashed into the bay, upside down because it crashed on right after takeoff, and it crashed, and I was completely aware the entire time, but I was upside down underwater
Ah,
and trapped in my
Oh,
seat, and
oh my goodness.
so that was an interesting, it was sort of at that moment I looked at a number of things like, how did you get here? You got here because you didn't listen. And I looked, uh, talking about flashing before you, I looked back and went back to 6 years old and all the times that I knew. It's an interesting thing about the psyche because of the
Mhm.
fact that you have the answer because it's one amongst a couple choices. And the answer that you need to make is not always the one, it's seldom the one you really
Yes.
make because you listen to all the glitter, you listen to the euphoric, satisfying some euphoric thing. You know what I mean? And that becomes almost an addiction cycle.
Right.
I understood the addiction cycle. And so it was you give into your addiction, it leads you right into the brick wall. So while I was under there, I looked at every incident and it just flew through my mind. And then at that point, I made a decision that I am not going to just lay here and accept this. And then I listened to voices of the people who empowered me, like my mentor, my mother, my other people who said, come on, you can do this. Come on. And I heard those voices that said, come on.
hmm.
And I overcame the first impulse was, oh shit, I'm going to die. I only got seconds. Be peaceful. Die peacefully before this other thing kicked in. Well, the other side of the coin is that I now listen to my impulse. Um, my first, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, I listened to my first impression with good humored inflexibility, even when the cry of voices is on the other side. And I'm looking at this guy who's the Republican, I forgot his name, this young Kinzinger,
Okay.
who's going completely against all the other Republicans. So the cry of voices is all on the other side, but he's following what he feels to be true. I understand that. And that is one of the toughest things to do, but that is when you follow your purpose and you understand that, then you follow your truth no matter what.
Amen.
You could be the only person in the
Amen.
crowd who's going that way,
Yeah.
but you have to go the way you know. So I'm grateful for that plane crash. I'm grateful for Vietnam. I'm grateful for drug addiction.
Well,
That is
basketball is my favorite sport,
powerful.
and I don't know if I wouldn't have been able to handle a plane crash. Although I probably would have tried to save people.
You'd be surprised what you're able to handle in the moment. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Because the only thing that you can look at is really the kind of whatever fear you have bought into in your life, and that is strong in your universe. In the moment, you don't know who you are until you get in the moment. And then something happens that goes against everything you were taught, everything you were learned. Something else happens or not. Like, for instance, one interesting detail 27 people died in that plane crash, 18
Mm.
drowned. Now, the people who survived, 24 people survived. And a lot of us have the same story of the journey of being affected, thinking that you're going to die, giving in to that, then hitting some kind of revelation that, wait a minute, no, no. And they reverse and they fight and come back the other way and they overcome. I surmise that some of those 18 people, if they weren't unconscious, went through the same process but couldn't find their way back to the belief of doing what they had to do to make it, because you get so consumed by your fear that you don't see possibilities.
Yeah, that's true.
That is so true. Talk about powerful revelations. Powerful revelations. Well, we're going to take a little commercial break and we will be right back with more from Richard Lawson. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to MUPO and Friends. We are here with Richard Lawson, and we are talking all things about life, legacy. And Richard, I know you had mentioned when you were telling us your very powerful story of what transpired with you in the plane. You mentioned too at the time you were in All My Children, for which you won an NAACP award. Uh, but you didn't stay on the soap path of the what
No.
what uh, what what was it like winning that award, and what shifted for you that you moved on from that?
Well, winning an award is always, something that you appreciate because
Mm,
it's a recognition of the hard work that you do
right.
or whatever it is that you created. And you always appreciate people recognizing your work. Um, um, I didn't stay on the soap because, um, you know, my character was kind of in a box. I was a father, my two kids on either side, and then the mother of my son who had her own relationship. And see, I've always had a big, uh, I've always thought highly of myself. And I hesitated and refused going. I mean, I avoided going on soaps before that year. And I'd been in the business some 20 some years, since 69, 89, 90, 21 years I'd been in the business. And so I saw myself
Mhm.
as a film actor or certainly on television in a series or something. But there was a strike in 1991 and it was really slow. And then it came up and I said, maybe I can go do a soap for like 2, 3 years, become hot on the soap and then carry that audience back into nighttime television. And then when I got on the show, it was like, well, you know what? You know, I should have a what would be really hot is if I was in a relationship with Erica uh, Kane. I forgot the.
Erica Kane.
I
That's
remember
right.
that.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I wanted to have a relationship with Erica Kane, something that was that hot.
Yeah.
Like it was the point of the show. And if I couldn't do that, I didn't see myself as just, supplemental to anything. So it was like, yo, no, I gotta go. And so I did my 2 years, um, and I came back, and I was doing All My Children when the plane crash happened. So, and the interesting thing about that was is that a week after the accident, I was back on the show working. And
Wow.
but the thing about living in New York is the fact that you don't live in quiet. There's no quiet. When you're on a soap, the very day that you're on a soap, if you go out into the world, especially then, because soaps were hot then, you go out into the world and people know you right away. You know what I
Right.
mean? And in New York, everything is on the ground. You walk, you get in cabs. You're amongst people. L.A., you're not amongst people. New York, you're amongst everybody. You could be worth $20 billion and live in a penthouse, 13, 15 million dollar penthouse, and you come down and you got to get in a cab and you go or get in the car, so you got to exchange with folks. And so, but in New York, every day people say, yo man, that's the dude that was in the plane crash. And in my head, I was saying, yeah, but I'm also the dude that was in Poltergeist and Main Event and Chicago Story and so
And
on, so on, so
V.
on. And
And
V,
V,
yeah, all of
we
that.
just recently we had Jane Badler on
Uh,
the show. Yeah.
okay.
What was your experience like working on V?
Um, I knew the creator of V, who
Hmm.
likes my work and asked me to do that. And and unfortunately, I was just in the pilot. The first I had one that one show that I did, and it was great working on that show and playing. I believe I was a doctor, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yes.
my brother was caught up. I have to when somebody say, "Yeah, you were in so and so," and it was like, "Yeah, what did I play?" You played
Dr. Parker, I believe.
doctor. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know how many doctors I played? Or how many cops I played? I saw you in that cop show. Uh, which one?
Yeah, but see that just goes to say you were a medic and you serve for our country. So why not put you in a doctor position? Because
Hmm.
obviously you're a natural. You're a hero.
Yeah, I've been a doctor so many times on medical center, um, a bunch of stuff. But it was great working on that show, and I'm glad that show became kind of iconic. It was like, it became like a real cult kind of thing, and people still talk about it today.
Well, just like
So
Poltergeist, I mean, people never forget that. They never forget that.
Look, I made so much money off of Poltergeist, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if they still do this, but back in those days, when they would negotiate, you had to the money that you made when you did the show, right? And then when they start selling the show to network television and to syndication and to foreign and all of that, that the money that goes to the actors, to the artists, gets divided up based upon the number of artists that was in the show.
Mhm.
Well, how many people were in Poltergeist? There was the family.
Right.
There was the team that came there. There were the guys that worked next door, and there was the guy he worked for. So there might have been 12 people in the entire movie. So all of the people who were in the movie divvied up whatever the equation was for the money that they got in the ancillary markets. I have made a ton from Poltergeist.
God bless you.
You
Amen
know,
for residuals.
hey, residuals for days.
So what was the most important thing an actor should learn, to become a successful actor? Because I know you teach and everything. What would you
Uh,
teach? Like if I came to you and said, "Hey," or if I had a kid that said, "Hey, they want to be famous," what would you say to them? Because to me, I think that's ridiculous.
I would say study. Study so that you can learn yourself, so you can learn your strengths, so that you learn whatever your weaknesses are, and strengthen those. Study so you can learn the business, and then take the time to take a look at what your dream is. Because you being an actor is no different than I'll use Fatburger as an example. Fat Fatburger
Make me
uh,
hungry.
was a little hamburger stand on Western and Adams, and it was a little juke joint, right? But the line was around the corner.
Yeah.
The daughter went to UCLA Business School, came out and said, "Hey, mom, We got to franchise this. So they built one on San Vicente and La Cienega. Then they built one on La Cienega and Santa Monica. That didn't go well because they had no parking. They had one in Westwood, and they continue to grow like that. Now it's franchised and it's all over the world. But that took a vision, an ability to be able to see that. So that as an actor, you have to understand, like, what is your thing? What do you do well? Who do you want to work with? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? Do you want to write? Do you want to create movies? What kind of stuff you do? Is comedy your thing? Is drama your thing? What is your thing? What is your brand? What is your deal? So that you know how to package, know how to prepare, know what the business is so that you can run this marathon. This is a marathon. Most people are only interested in the sprint. They want to get something hot and get good and have an agent find them and put them on, and then they have success. And all they're doing is setting themselves up to be painted in a box, because once you become well known in this one thing, now people are going to expect that one thing. And when you try to change and realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't have the skill set, I don't know how to create these characters, I'm good in this one box, but I don't know how to do anything else, that, it's a diminishing return.
Right.
So if you prepare for the marathon, the long run, you now can have a career of your vision and your choosing.
Great
Spoken.
advice.
Yes. Yes. I can see the teacher in you too. Very excellent, excellent advice. And speaking of visions and dreams, I know that you met and had known who became the love of your life, your wife Tina, and you both had an incredible vision together. You first of all, you did Richard Lawson Studios,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where you train actors, but you did another thing that was a big dream of yours, and it was a dream of both of you that kind of came together when you became husband and wife, and the Waco, the where
Yes.
art can occur. Uh, Theater, and this is incredible. I was getting my information on you about that, and I'm just blown away by what you're doing. It just I
Oh, thank you.
tears in my eyes for what you're doing. So I wanted to ask you, how do you expand the vision? Share with us about expanding the vision for the kids outside of their limits, because you were talking about how people only see like in their neighborhood. If they haven't been anywhere else, they don't see that vision. So how do you go about creating that for the kids? Please share that.
Well, um, first of all, my wife and we've had both incredible lives separately.
Yes.
We happen to have been knowing each other about 39 years now. She was my sister's best friend, and I met her when she was pregnant with Beyonce.
Mhm.
Um, and so early on, when I was having my career, um, uh, she had a hair salon in Houston. I would go to Houston and MC her show, help her with stuff. I went to Houston to do Othello. My daughter Bianca came with me and stayed with her for a week. Um, so we've been friends for a long time. Now, when Beyonce's career took off, then we kind of lost track. I knew her and her husband. And then after my sister died in '91, she was there, and then Beyonce's career started to move, um, and then about 8 years ago we got back together, or we reconnected through another friend of mine, and uh, so we started to hang out and stuff, and we both have been um, in the world of philanthropy and helping and motivating others and stuff. And she's the mother of the world, and so we had very common interest in terms of being of service. And she was getting ready to start something in Houston, a place, an art place. She's a fine artist. She's interested in fine art. She collects, and she was going to create this place that for young artists. And then I was here teaching, and so we talked, and it was like just a sort of natural kind of um, uh,
Connection.
connection, where we were contiguous, like
Right.
like two tracks. We're headed the same way. She's on her own track, I'm on mine, but on this train is headed towards the same destination. So I've always had an expression
Beautiful.
that came from Marie Montessori, where you create a space where children can be themselves, and you get out of the way and just pull out from them but don't put anything in. So that's the concept of where Waco, where art can occur. And we mentor about 90 kids. Because of COVID, um, we have uh, made an incredible investment in buying computers and setting them up, and we actually do classes that I teach, and originated at Richard Lawson Studios, called the Professional Development Program, where we teach them how to become filmmakers, and then they do films about themselves and about
Yeah.
the challenges of young people in order to create a children's channel so that other kids can come and see stories about bullying and confidence and body shaming and parents and COVID and friendship and relationship and depression, suicide, all those issues. These kids are doing films about them so that other people and other kids will be able to come and see works and see the truth, their truth, through these other people's stories. And in the process of these kids doing this, they are able to see themselves in a way that they've never been able to see themselves before. And the whole point is to try to put something in front of them that is beyond their zip code. Most
Mhm.
people are entrapped by their zip code
Right.
consciously,
Yeah, that
and
is true.
Yeah.
and so we are giving them possibilities that live way outside of their zip codes. And if you would see some of the things that is happening with these young people in terms of this awareness, in terms of their dreams, in terms of I have them write out their dreams. When they first write it out, it's very empty, not much there. And then once they realize that they can dream and fantasize, and that they can make that happen by taking steps and by understanding and by having discipline and knowing that they need to do the right thing, set themselves up, make good choices, that it changes their lives. And so, Tina and I couldn't be more fulfilled by what we put into this. And we created an organization that is really doing some amazing, amazing things.
How long has the organization been in existence?
Um, let's see. So we got the building. So 2019 was the fifth year. So 2014 is when we started,
Mhm.
and we have a gala every year. But this last year, COVID kind of killed that. But we had a gala that was starting to rival the Met Ball on the East Coast. They were starting to call this the Met West because the whole concept of it was built in terms of creating a Afrocentric concept, so that the design, the color, the costumes were African in nature. Last year, The Lion King, Disney was a sponsor. The year before that, it was the Black Panther, and so you look at it, it is amazing. We would have it at a place where we could have 1,000 people there, and it's an amazing, amazing event.
So do you have
And hey,
tryouts though for your school, or do you just accept
no,
everyone and help them and guide them?
No, we adopted KIPP Academy, which is a charter school in South Central. We adopted this one school because, we didn't have the economics to be able to, transportation wise, go get this one over there and this one over there and this one over there and, East LA, West LA, South LA, and all like that to bring them to our North Hollywood theater. Um, so we centralized it and we found this school that is a great school. We went to other schools and the apathy was appalling with the
Hmm.
kids and the teachers and the people who ran the school. Appalling. But KIPP Academy is their teachers, the concept, the principal, Marcia, uh, they run a place where the teachers love to teach and they love the kids and the kids are all it's a healthy school, even though it's challenged economically by the parents are challenged. I mean, this year we have supplemented their income. At one point we were giving them $600 a month. This is like 90 kids, and we did it for months, and then we stopped, and then we did it again, and because they were just hurting, and so and we've been blessed to have people who believe in our mission, and uh,
Well,
and we have some pretty exciting things coming up.
Well, you even
so
took the kids to Africa. You had a, I mean, this is incredible. I'll share more with you why after this, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes, but this isn't, I was just like going, yes, yes, yes,
Holly wants to
incredible.
go to Africa. I would like to get an elephant and a monkey and bring them back to America, but I don't think I can. I'm a big animal lover, but I would use that and show kids that, to be kind to animals, to and then give
Yeah,
put a guitar in their hand, put a mic in their hand. I mean,
yeah.
I want to see the studio. I'm dying to see your studio and just, you know, see whatever you have. Like we want to help you guys.
Hey, listen, we love it. You can come and visit the studio. The lobby is an art gallery, and
Where is it located?
it's at 5144 Lankershim Boulevard in North
Okay.
Hollywood. It's right there in NoHo, which is the North Hollywood
Mhm.
Arts District. In that
It's near me.
oh, cool. In
Hmm.
1 square mile, there's 28 theaters in 1 square mile.
Wow.
Yep.
And between music, between recording studios, dance studios, everything there is art centric, and it's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
Wow.
So do you plan on going to like the East Coast too at your school as well, like and branch it out like a franchise? Because I think
Yes,
you should, because there's
yes,
so many talented kids. The thing is that you're doing such a good cause. I mean, and you probably see talent coming through. Do you ever see someone and say that kid has a spark, that kid's going someplace?
absolutely, absolutely. This one girl, Nire, who
Mm.
when she was 13, she was reading on a second grade level.
Wow.
Now
Cool.
she's a touted poet, and she
God bless.
is one of the producers. We have a show called, as a matter of fact, I would love for you to come on today's Tuesday, Wednesday. Tomorrow we have a show called I've Got the Mic, and I'll have Bria send you the link to I've Got the Mic.
Okay.
We have a show that is filled with wordsmith, poets, musicians, and one of the things that we're looking at is the evolution of African culture. So we focus on Ghana this year, next year maybe Nigeria or one of the other African countries.
Mm.
But it's to show how the musics, the literature, the dance, the food, fashion evolved and how it affected Western civilization and Eastern civilization. Because most people don't know that Africans migrated to Japan and China, and there's a whole black they don't want you to know too much about it, but there's sort of a black subculture in China and Japan that are African heritage. And so we're looking at that. But the show on Wednesday, you'll see it's Black History Month. But this month we're talking about the Black history that we're creating as opposed to the Black history that we're celebrating from the past. We're creating a new day. This is a new time now. Like we're not going back. That what it used to be and what it was, which is causing part of the rise to all this anger is the fact that some people are trying to recreate Jim Crow, the days of Jim Crow.
Wow.
That's over with. We ain't going back there.
Let's
And
hope
so
not.
no, we won't. Believe me, before
Um, we should
it'll get ugly
definitely
before it
do
does.
a show with your kids, like, and get them on MUPO and Friends with you.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
seriously, like, because MUPO Entertainment, it's TV, a radio station, it's a talent agency, a magazine.
Oh,
So
nice,
we're gonna have eventually 24/7 of TV going around. So it's a
nice.
digital platform, but we should definitely get them on to, because
We
there's
can
so many
mhm,
avenues to help people, and
totally do that.
maybe we could, get somebody that'll say, here's a couple $1 million for your school. You never know.
Hey, listen,
It's
I'm
about
down.
linking arms and expanding the
You're
vision
awesome.
Yeah.
despite the times. I know you said that everyone should have a DNA test, and I love this. After you discover your genetic ancestry, what kind of impact, and you kind of tapped on it a little bit about the kids learning about the different areas, not just going, it's one country. There's different areas and learning about it. So how has DNA and knowing your DNA impacted your life? And how does it impact
Well,
others?
I had the hugest revelation. So when I was 9 years old, my father was a barber, and I was sitting in his barber chair, and he said something that convinced me that I was not his son. He was saying he was cutting my hair, but he was talking to um, um, a patron waiting to get their
Mm.
haircut, and so the guy said, "Hey, Lawson, is that your son?" And after this long pause and this exasperated thing, he said, "Well, yeah, that's what his mama said." And the way he said it sent a cold chill down my spine, right?
Mm.
So from that day till 2 years ago, I was absolutely convinced that he was not my father. I, just absolutely not. And a number of other things that happened in between that helped to convince me even more. And so 2 years ago, uh, Michael Lawson came to California or came to LA and said, "Hey, my daughter wants to study with you." And I said, "Absolutely." And it was cousin this and cousin that and cousin this. And I said, I got to tell this guy it's not my cousin. Of course, we had every reason to believe so because as kids, we grew up as cousins. And then I didn't see him after my mother and father divorced for years. And so um, I, one day I said, "Michael, let me tell you something, man. I'm really not your cousin because I found out that LB was not my father. That's his name, LB Lawson." He says, "Oh man, that's awful." And I said, "Yeah, hey, look, shit happens." So, but that doesn't mean anything because I'm gonna still work with Mila and we're good. You know what I mean? It doesn't change a thing. I said, "But just so you know that I'm not some Hollywood chicken shit, why don't you go get a DNA test just so that you know for sure? Get a 23andMe." And he said, "I already took it." I said, "See? Yeah, you see?" He said, "No, but I didn't do the DNA part. I just did the heritage part." "Oh, well, do that." The next day, I get a ding from 23andMe, and I look in the thing, and you have new relatives. And I looked in there. Michael Lawson, your first cousin.
Wow.
Wow.
What? So from 9 until 2 years ago, that man did not exist in my universe.
Wow.
But he proved to be my father. So it's like,
Wow.
Wow.
whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, so
So
23andMe was like, it settled, although I had pretty much, it was out of my universe. But um but that sort of just sort of flattened that whole thing.
well, you've done everything. I mean, is there anything that that you have on your bucket list that you still didn't complete?
I mean, I could jump out of the plane in the parachute, but I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to do
Wow.
that.
Wow.
I actually have done that. I did two tandem jumps.
You
This
did?
was I was in Texas, and
Oh.
they took us
I
out
jumped
over
off the
some
Verrazano.
cornfields. I thought they were going to kill us at first. It's a cornfield. You're in Texas. Went up. It was incredible. It was very freeing.
Uh,
Very. I did it to just I was terrified. I would let
yeah.
let no lie be told,
Yeah.
but it was incredibly freeing. And of course, it takes a tremendous amount of trust to trust your tandem jumper that you just met like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
But
right?
on my second one, we would get on this plane with these the people with us jumping, and then there were some freestylers that were jumping, solo.
Yeah.
And I asked one of them, I said, "What is your reason for, why are you?" They were jumping in memory of someone they had lost. They had lost
From jumping.
to cancer. To
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so they were it's a form of just releasing life, celebrating, just
Uh,
taking on a new
yeah.
perspective in life. Very freeing. So,
Uh,
I'm a
uh,
jumper, so I'm u-
I,
I know what you're talking about. I'm a
yeah,
jumper.
it's unlike any feeling you'll ever have.
I'm
You
sure.
can't even. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. Safely though, safely. I'd
One of
probably
my
be scared again.
one of my students, former students, um, years ago was Patrick Swayze,
Mhm.
and then later his brother Don Swayze. Patrick died, and Don Swayze was
Yeah.
a student. Now, Don, I don't know if you know what a streamer is. You know what a streamer
Well,
is?
now it's if you stream, you go live off the internet.
You're right, right.
Yeah, you mean when from jumping when they
Yes,
yeah when
when
they do the ballet
when the
it,
parachute doesn't
yeah,
open.
yeah.
Oh
No,
Oh,
it's
Lord.
no
oh,
ballet.
streamer. Oh, I thought.
It what happens when you jump and the parachute doesn't open, then it
Right.
spins
Twirls.
Yeah.
like that, and you crash to the ground. And he hit the ground and broke his leg, and I think he amputated part of his leg, Don.
Oh,
And then after he healed, he went back up and jumped again.
You have to.
He started jumping again, and then he had a second streamer and lived through that.
Wow.
Talk about.
But if you have a
did he
crazy accident
lo-
though, if you have a crazy accident, you have to go back and redo that accident. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be in fear for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on the plane crash.
Yeah, I was
Um,
after hearing that story.
Well,
although
that's
I'm a
different,
great
but
Okay.
flyer.
but I'm talking about like an accident that
No, I know what you mean.
you know,
Just kidding.
like I had a motor, jumping over a car, with a
Hmm.
motorcycle, and then you hit
Right.
the tire and you go flying. Well, you have to get on that
Oh,
Yeah.
motorcycle to go jump the car again, but then you put
yeah.
better, you know,
You're a
Yeah.
daredevil.
But
yeah,
we're
I used to
talking about
jump.
jumping out of the sky, okay? And
I used
that
to jump
that
out of my window on the second floor just to get out of the house in the middle when I was a kid. I'll never forget it. And I jumped off the
Yeah.
Verrazano to the second
You're
level.
you're a renegade, boy.
I'm a jumper. I'm
when you
not.
when
I
you
can't go in elevators.
but she won't go in an elevator.
It
When
has
you
to be all
first jump
free.
out of that plane, you do before you pull the parachute, you go like this. I called it the
uh,
toilet bowl flush. That's what it
uh,
reminded me of.
yeah.
Literally, it was just shh, and you don't hear anything. And if you open your mouth, your skin flaps like it's a piece of
Yeah.
paper.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
insane. It
Yeah.
does. It does. I had a video and I was like, I look like paper.
I'll stick to my YouTube
Yes.
videos of all of that.
No. Yeah. I wish I have a video of it. So I don't know where it is. It's probably lost somewhere. But Richard, it has been such a pleasure having you. Thank you so
You're a hero.
much. And
Oh, thank you.
for serving a country, for everything you're doing for the kids. Incredible, incredible. Please share with people again where they can find the school, go to the website. Um, Want to get people
Yeah.
to support, to come and help. Where can they go?
Well, you can find me at Mr. Richard Lawson on Twitter and IG. Uh, you can go to my website at studio.richardlawson.com or richardlawson.net. You can go to wacotheatercenter.com, or you could just Google me and all of those things will come up.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Awesome. And
Thank
before
you.
we wrap, we're gonna. I do. We like to do a series of three little statements, and I start and you finish.
Hmm.
The value of life.
What was it? Say it again.
The value of life. You're gonna
The
finish the
value
phrase.
to give,
Being of service.
highest form of godliness.
The legacy I want to leave.
He was a funny dude.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Richard Lawson. And as always, thank you so much for watching Mupo and Friends.
No,
You can
thank you.
find our show and other shows at www.mupoentertainment.com. You have got to come and watch this one when it airs at www.mupoentertainment.com. And this is Holly Lombardi with Richard Lawson and our CEO mastermind and host of Mupo and Friends, Michele Mupo. And until next time, we are over and out.